There's white smoke wafting over the Vatican, but there's nothing but hot air hovering here over at Daily Record HQ. I'm Michael Gannon, this is Gavin Berry. This is Game On, where it takes 2 minutes rather than 2 days to set a light under the Scottish sporting world. How are you, Gav?
Very good, Michael, very good.
Speaking of white smoke, I think that's the barbecues just warming up for the weekend, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
What a week we're having.
Scorcher. Taps off.
Well,
maybe not in here.
That's a different show. You can catch that one after hours.
It's not a pretty sight, I can assure you.
That's not free on YouTube either, so that's worth a few quid. But listen, it's been a smouldering sporting week, so let's spark things up with our first topic. See, I'm doing here.
Michael.
Every week gets better to gather.
Cliches.
We're going to kick off with Rangers and the ongoing, talking white smoke, the ongoing hunt for a new manager, the discussions about a new manager. Some people are suggesting needs a kind of fresh approach. Some people like a Rangers man. Does the next Rangers manager need to be a so-called Rangers man?
Rangers man. What does that mean?
Somebody who knows
Rangers
the club,
man.
has experienced it, played for it, managed it, or been around it. What do you think?
Well, if you look at the candidates, the names that are out there, I mean, who are Rangers men? I mean, is Steven Gerrard a Rangers man? No? Or are we?
Well, yeah, we think so. He's managed the club,
Are we including him in that? Yeah. So, Muscat, he's barely there.
Well, he still knows the club.
Russell Martin. I mean,
knows the club, yeah.
So as a Rangers, I would call him, so there, is that something you describe as a Rangers man? I mean, he knows the...
No, I'm saying Rangers man kind of term.
I mean,
I think somebody who knows the club.
Barry Ferguson's somebody you would describe as being a Rangers man. Derek McInnes.
The quintessential Rangers man, Derek McInnes.
I would say Derek McInnes would be seen as a Rangers man. Look, I think Derek McInnes wouldn't be a bad shout. Not just because he's a Rangers man. I think he's record in the Premiership. I've often said that I think he'd be a good shout. Barry Ferguson.
I'm thinking more, not so much the actual people himself. I'm talking about does that job require somebody who has been at the club before?
No, definitely not.
Or who has been around the club before? No.
And I actually think with the takeover happening and the new owners coming in, I would actually make a case to say it's time to go for somebody who isn't a Rangers man, someone who doesn't necessarily have a connection with the club. Just go and
maybe Belgian, maybe
just go.
No hair, maybe that didn't really. Listen, I don't think that.
But the circumstances that the next manager comes in is going to be very different to what Philip Clement came into.
Yeah,
we're expecting them to, give the manager funds, give them a chance, put a structure in place that will help. I mean, Rangers off the park have been a shambles. There's been no structure there. I'm not to say that Philip Clement would have been a success or Michael Beale, would have been a success, but there's no doubt, and even Giovanni Van Bronckhorst before him, there's no doubt these managers were hampered slightly with the fact off the park it was all a bit fractured.
Yeah.
So I think what they need to do is get all of that in place, give the new manager the best possible chance, and they need to get an elite manager.
Yeah, the best man for the job. Yeah. I don't think it's limit themselves to someone who knows the club. But again, I also don't think Rangers should be shutting the door on that possibility, because I don't think it hurts to have somebody who does know what it's about, because it's a unique position. I mean, I say unique, Celtic very similar. Yeah. The demands to win are sky high. It's not like that a lot of clubs across the world. Yeah.
Dick Advocaat came in was one of the most successful managers.
And if you do well,
if you're a good manager, regardless.
If you do well, you become a Rangers man as well.
Yeah. So and the takeover, Michael, is edging closer. We say that every week. Well, Dave King said mid-June, the time scale.
Yeah.
Obviously we've got the Leeds connection here, and a lot of people fearing, Rangers could end up a feeder club for Leeds United. What do you think? Is that a real fear?
But obviously, I heard Dave King kind of addressing that point. He thinks that almost it was the other way around. Dave King, not a man known for lack of kind of hyperbole sometimes, but I can understand those fears, because the talk this week, obviously Leeds have gone up this week, and there's a lot of big talk about turning Leeds into a major club in England, competing for Champions League places and eventually the title and all that kind of stuff. So there are grand plans for Leeds United, and you wonder where are Rangers going to sit in that kind of global structure. They've got investment structure as well, but I think there's going to be enough separate from Leeds for Rangers. We don't know the structure of the deal, but it looks like they're going to have different guys in different positions, and it's only the pot of money that's and some of the expertise that's coming across.
Yeah,
I don't think the clubs are going to be handcuffed to each other.
But when we say feeder club and people go, oh no, they won't be a feeder club, and what would it mean? What would that mean?
Well,
what are the worries?
You think about these links that are forging with your Hearts and Brighton's owners and Hibs and Bournemouth, and you think, well, are Leeds going to buy a young talented player? give them to Rangers for a couple of seasons, develop them, and then take them off Rangers and get a fee for it and all that stuff. But that might not be the worst thing in the world.
But what I was going to say is, but one of the criticisms of Rangers in recent seasons has been that they haven't sold players at the right time.
Yeah.
Scottish Premiership clubs are generally selling clubs. We know that. Celtic have sold guys like Matt O'Reilly and Fraser Forster and Wanyama and all these English Premiership clubs. So are they a feeder club?
Well, exactly. Listen, Celtic for a while were kind of de facto part of the City group.
Yes.
And they got players through the
Patrick
Man City link, Patrick Roberts,
Boyata.
Yeah. These guys all came through the City group.
So it worked for them.
And by the way, a manager as well, Ange Postecoglou.
So it worked for them.
I don't think these informal kind of links or formal links are a bad thing necessarily.
Yeah.
Plus, Leeds aren't at that stage yet when they're going to be a big global power that's going to dwarf Rangers. At the moment, there's more parity between the two of them. So I think you can grow both products and both clubs together, and then we'll see what it is down the line. I mean, again,
I suppose
questions need to be answered by the new owners, but we don't know yet.
Yeah, the worry would be if they put all the focus on Leeds and just totally neglect Rangers, but I don't think that would happen.
I can't see that happening. I can't see that happening.
Okay. Now, one man who stood out last week in the Derby draw Ibrox was Leon Balogun, 36, 37 in the summer. Probably second best player to Nico Raskin, certainly on the Rangers side on the day.
Yep.
A lot of fans now saying he should. He got a year extension. Do you think he should get another one?
Do you know what I think? I mean, I know there's going to be a new revolution coming in the summer, and we don't know how it's going to take shape. And you imagine there'll be a lot of aggressive recruitment done. So I don't see Leon Balogun being a main man next year in centre defence. But if you're asking about a guy who could be there as a backup. I mean, he's tried and tested. What is he, 37 though, in the summer? So I guess time is against him, but
Michael,
I think he's worth keeping around for.
Michael, he's done well, but this attitude, I mean, this is part of the problem of where Rangers are currently because of that kind of attitude. Oh, I mean, we'll just give him another year. No. Rangers need to be moving on.
Why would you get shot at the good ones?
As well as he played last week, he's 37 in the summer, as we said.
Yeah.
Rangers have to be moving on from someone like Leon Balogun.
But there is going to be a massive amount of change at Rangers this summer. But why not keep the good ones? And by the way, not only a good one on the park, but also a good influence off the park. So why would you clear out the ones that are decent? When there's plenty of ones that aren't decent need to clear out.
Yeah.
Why not keep the ones that are and keep that and give a little bit of more of a transition into the new era?
Yeah.
It's a guy you can rely. It's very, very rarely lets Rangers down.
Do you know, we've seen players on both sides of the old firm, Michael, who arrive late in their careers and, but they've maybe played at the highest level elsewhere and then they come in their twilight and you say, oh, if only he'd have been there 10 years ago. Like Lubo Moravchik at Celtic and...
Guys, Davy Weir.
But Leon Balogun is exactly that kind of guy. See if they can have had him 10 years ago.
Yeah, but then you can't afford them 10 years ago.
But that's what they want now.
That's the whole issue.
No, but that's what they need now. Yeah. They need to go and get a Leon Balogun at 26, 27.
Yeah.
That's what they need to be getting. You're far too emotional and sentimental. You need to be colder than that, Michael.
I think you want good types at your club and guys who can help smooth the wheels into the next generation. Yeah, and I think he'd be an ideal man to do that. Do you think
even someone like our record sport columnist Scott Arfield would maybe let go too soon?
Well, listen, Scotty's done a great job at Falkirk and he's a driving force. We'll let him get on with that there. He's a good servant to all his clubs.
Yeah.
But like you say, another one that arrived quite late in his career and did really well.
So I said Leon Balogun was second to Nico Raskin, who was probably man of the match in the whole game. Certainly in the Rangers team, the best player.
Yeah.
Better. Again, it brings up the debate. Arnie Engels, his compatriot, he arrives at Celtic for 11 million. Who's the best Belgian?
Who's the best Belgium? I think it's a tricky one because they don't play. I know both play midfield, but they're both different kinds of players.
Yeah.
So I think, listen, first off the bat, they're both good players.
Mm-hmm.
I think when it comes to the slightly more adventurous side of the game, I think Engels is a bit more dynamic in terms of he can pick a killer pass. He's got a few assists this season.
Yep.
Obviously, I know people call him Arnie Pengels and that stuff because he's got a lot of penalty kicks, but he does score them. He does score them as well.
Raskin, all action.
I think Raskin's a spoiler. He's great at breaking up the play, making the simple pass. It's not quite the sexiest role in the team, but it's really effective. And it's a role that maybe didn't get noticed 5-10 years ago or was undervalued. Whereas nowadays people see it and appreciate it more. So I think he's a really effective little player. I mean, talking about people will say it's one of the other on the Belgian team and all that stuff, but can you imagine the two of them? I think the two of them complement each other quite well. People say it would he get in the game and with Raskin getting the Celtic ahead of Engels. You got to think that they would probably complement each other actually. I think Engels has been unfortunate. I think he's had a good season, by the way. I think that the kind of slightly negative rhetoric, I think, is because of the price tag. I think for the money they spent, club record transfer. I think people are expecting them to be pinging balls at top corner every week. Not quite his game. He's not been a direct replacement for Matt O'Reilly, who was a bit more of a kind of advanced midfielder, busting into the box and scoring goals. He's not quite that kind of player yet. He's maybe a kind of number 8 in kind of modern parlance.
Michael, we've got 2 minutes here. You can pick one of them in your team tomorrow. You're the manager. Are you picking Engels or Raskin?
I'm going to go Engels because I like more attack-minded kind of play rather than spoiling stuff. So I would go with just narrowly. I would
even right now on current form.
Yes,
I know you're
saying the young player of the year. Engels is young player of the year.
But Engels is not influencing games in the way that Raskin is influencing games for Rangers. He's not going to.
Rangers have won 4 games in the last 12. Rangers are not playing well just now. So he's influencing games and not winning them.
Well,
they've not won at Ibrox since February.
But listen, when Callum McGregor was out injured at that last derby at Parkhead, and Engels had to step up, he couldn't. Raskin can influence a game.
Yeah, I get that, but he's also not influenced in the last 12 games. They've only won 4 of them, so you can't have it both ways. Talking about form, I mean, it's not exactly.
I'm talking about his
life-shattering form. I mean, it's influence games are not winning. That's not exactly a winning formula.
Sorry, you've just slapped me right down.
Oh well, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. Let's switch across to City. We're talking about transfers and signings and all that stuff. Celtic, I've got a lot of centre backs.
Yeah.
No one's really nailed down that role next to Callum Carter-Vickers.
No.
Liam Scales, Austin Trusty, Mike Narosky even made an appearance. Stephen Welsh come back from his loan spell. I think there's Gustav Lagerbielke still in the books as well.
Yeah.
But the Celtic need to sign another centre back this summer.
Definitely. In fact, to be honest, you mentioned, I think they need to sign someone definitely who can partner Cameron Carter-Vickers. But there would even be an argument to say they could upgrade on Cameron Carter-Vickers. As good as he has been, Celtic really want to
sell him?
They want to really go to the next level. I think they could. Yeah. I think they could sell him, buy a totally new defence. I think they could upgrade on him. I actually don't think he's been brilliant recently. Do you agree? Or
I think he sets a high standard. I think Cameron Carter-Vickers sets us a high level that if he doesn't quite hit it, it's noticeable. But I don't think he's had a poor season by any stretch of imagination.
No, I didn't say poor. I said he's been
no.
Can they do better? Is the question.
I think.
And that's the
listen. It goes back to I mean, Cameron Carter-Vickers has been a tremendous Celtic player. I mean, £6 million, a rock. I think he's actually missed when he's not playing. He's badly missed.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with
Okay.
you. I think he's one of the main men. I would not be selling Cameron Carter-Vickers.
But at the very least, it's someone to part them. At the very least, there was £10 million worth of central defenders on the bench at Ibrox, wasn't there?
Yes.
You've Trusty and
Narosky.
We've touched on Narosky before. That Brendan Rodgers obviously doesn't fancy him. Being the left footer, he likes a left footer in there.
Yeah.
He said that.
I think Liam Scales is a bit of a raw deal. I mean, I think because he's.
Come on.
I think, listen, this is a guy's international for Ireland.
I mean, Balogun should have burst the net early on.
I think he did a moment.
And Dessers then out-muscles him.
Yeah.
He's a squad player.
I think he's played a lot of games for Celtic. He's played a lot of games in a very successful Celtic team.
But
you look at actually Scales and Trusty both played over at Atalanta in the Champions League and had 2 of them at Stormers.
True.
I think Scales is slightly undervalued at times. I think he pays the price again a little bit because he's not a very sexy name. He's Irish,
I get that.
Celtic connections and all that stuff. I don't think it's a problem for Celtic. I don't think it's a position they needed to stress too much about it. No. I think Trusty.
Champions League's ambition.
I think Austin Trusty will eventually will come good in that position. I think he's had a up and down year. There's a lot going on with him as well, but I think he will come good. And I think Liam Scales is a very, very capable deputy. I think Celtic got other priorities rather than centre half.
Yeah. Okay.
But
is Brendan Rodgers one of those priorities? That takes us to our next question. Do you think 3 years, the whole 3-year plan? Year 3 next season, do you think he should be revealing what his future is beyond that?
No.
Do you not think it then leads to questions every week?
Yeah, but I think he's a kind of guy who's quite skilled at answering these questions in a kind of cute fashion. I think, listen, you look back historically, when managers have announced that they're leaving, how often does it actually, do they get the kind of the finale they want? You look at even recent years in England, the Klopp, didn't get the fairy tale finale.
No.
In Scotland, we had it with
Walter Smith.
Walter Smith was the one.
Famously,
Didn't get
yes.
the grandstand finish that we thought he might have been heading towards.
Yeah.
I think it's happened in previous times. Was it Martin O'Neill and
Martin O'Neill. But actually, I was thinking about the Martin O'Neill one. Now, that's slightly different because obviously there was a situation, his wife wasn't
he wanted
remember.
Yeah.
And that's, you can understand that you don't go public with that. That's totally understandable.
Yeah.
However, I do remember that season continually asked, are you signing the new contract?
Yes.
Are you signing the new contract? Are you signing the new contract?
It's a distraction.
It does become, it starts to dominate. But the other thing I was going to ask you is, do you think Brendan Rodgers will either have informed Dermot Desmond, or if not, do you think he will inform him before?
Absolutely.
It's not like it's
absolutely. They've got a very close relationship. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I suspect that the
Do you think he'll know now?
I think he knows now. I don't think he will stay beyond the end of the season.
No. Okay.
No, I think he'll get to that point, and I think that's me done 6-7 years across 2 spells. It's probably enough.
Yeah.
I'll go back to my Mallorcan villa and wait and see the next challenge.
Do you sense when you're speaking to him, when you're going to?
Yeah, because but you're saying it's uncertainty. But if it's asked every week about his future and doesn't say yes, the answer is no. Do you know what I mean? It's like eventually you can only say no so many ways, or dodge the question so many ways. So eventually it's going to get to a point. It might just say, "Listen, I don't know." I think that's the way he might play it. I'll wait and see. I'll see how I feel in the season. But I think deep down he will know. But he can't let his squad know that, because as soon as you know that the manager's on the way out,
yes,
there's something changes in the squad, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Something changes. I don't think it'd be wise to say, this is my last season, we're going to go for it full tilt. I want to go with a treble on a European run. I don't think that works.
Yeah.
I don't think it works. Fergie was not, wasn't he?
Yeah. He will face a renewed challenge from Rangers, you would expect, once the takeover is completed.
Was it says Rangers are coming again? Is that what
it
says?
Again, yeah. I know, he always, he swats that away. So it remains to be seen how strong a challenge he'll face from Rangers, but will he face a stronger or even a challenge from Hearts? Tony Bloom, now it's all official. £10 million. It's all official.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah. He wants to invest. Hearts went public with it. They're now considering it. Shrewd move, obviously. Shrewd guy.
Yeah.
And he wants Hearts to be the Scottish football disruptors. Can they?
I do like that phrase.
Yeah, that's a great phrase.
It's the disruptors. I like that. Yeah. I think it's quite an exciting prospect. I mean, they talk about £10 million investment right away. It's a lot of money, but it's not going to elevate them into that stratosphere with certain Rangers who wage bills are 40, 50 million pounds a year.
Yeah.
So it's not going to change that overnight. But listen, the way Scottish football is, if Hearts can get that investment, use it wisely, and get the Tony Bloom Jamestown analytics thing up and running, get a manager that works for a start.
Yeah.
Then they just need to get plenty of results against the rest. First of all, that's the first priority, is to be best of the rest, because they're not, obviously, just now, they're toiling in the bottom of the league.
Yeah.
So the first target has to be third place, best of the rest, and then they can start to chip away. But if they're racking up points on a consistent basis against the rest, start picking up wee results against certain teams occasionally, all of a sudden they're going to find themselves in that wee mix. It doesn't take, that's the thing, I mean, you look at Aberdeen start of the season they had, and then we got to October, and people are saying, are Aberdeen in a title race? And we've seen it before, back maybe 10 years ago, and thought, well, it's hard to maintain that, and it turned out, we didn't think it was going to go so badly wrong at Aberdeen for that length of time. And now they've come back. But I just think it doesn't take that much. I think Tony Bloom and his boffins will know this.
Yeah.
To disrupt it, might not take that much. We've seen it in the past. Hearts nudging themselves into that kind of, Aberdeen finished second a couple of times. So yeah, I mean, to compete with Celtic in the market and the kind of commercial behemoth they are just now is going to be really difficult, and the Rangers are going to find that hard as well. Yeah. So for Hearts to do it is going to be next to impossible.
Yeah. Because you mentioned Hearts doing it before, and they did, obviously, but under Vladimir Romanov, and they were paying, big money at that time. Now, obviously, as we now know, they were going about it in the wrong way. But I suppose it does show, if it's genuine and you've got the genuine investment, how that it can be done.
Yeah, I think the phrase disrupt, I think is a good word to use rather than challenge. But I don't think they're going to be anywhere near challenging a title anytime soon. But they can disrupt it. They can get themselves in the way and cause a bit of mayhem. And it's going to be great fun to watch. I think if you're a Hearts fan, you should be quite excited.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit different. But listen, speaking of something different, let's look to foreign fields. Big Ange.
Yeah.
He's been fighting with everybody for months. And now he's managed to get Spurs into the Europa League final up against Man United. He always says, I always win a trophy in my second season.
Yeah.
Is his prophecy going to come true?
He called it.
Is he going to stay in the job? Having looked as though he was out in the street a few weeks ago.
I think, to be honest, I fancy him to win it. They've beaten Man United 3 times this season. They've played 3 times, I think. Spurs have won every time, but it would be the most Spurs thing
I was
ever
going to say, yeah.
to not win when they need to win. I think he'll win it, and I think he'll still be sacked. Daniel Levy.
How can you sack a guy who's won the first trophy in
It's
17
not me.
years?
It's not me, but Daniel Levy. I mean, Daniel Levy, he's a cold, ruthless guy. He sacked Jose Mourinho less than a week before the cup final, remember?
That's true. Yeah.
That's the kind of guy. I think he'll be looking at the bigger picture. As much as, we're delighted for Ange Postecoglou, it is a great story considering, how bad they've been this season. But I think if Daniel Levy's looking at the bigger picture, I don't think a Europa League win, as good as it is for them to get their hands on this trophy, I don't think it can hide how bad they've been in the league this season, and that's the bigger picture. Daniel Levy's going to want a manager that can be up there challenging in the league.
Yeah, I take that point, but I mean, you see every week his press conferences getting more agitated by the week, isn't he? He's falling to fuel and he's snapping and sniping. You can actually see Ange winning this trophy and then quitting.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he done it with Australia. He wasn't happy. He quit. I just think he's pulling Spurs fans back in a bit. I think he had lost them for a while. He's fighting the fans and all that stuff. And that start happening, you think there's writings on the wall. I suspect you're right, Gav, but I think they'd be mad to kind of let him go. I mean, you've got to remember, last season they finished 5th, and we're up there challenging for Champions League places most of the season till they ran out of gas. This year they've had a lot of injury problems. The recruitment wasn't great in the summer, which is not Ange's domain. I think they should really hang their hat on this guy. I think if he wins this trophy, I think they say, right, you know what, it was a difficult year, but they got through it and delivered a first trophy in nearly 20 years, a European trophy nonetheless. I think they should say, right, now we'll get it right in terms of recruitment, we'll back this guy and we'll go forward. But I suspect Ange might win the trophy and then tell him where to go. Because he looks a bit kind of weary of the whole thing, doesn't he?
I'd love to hear that post-match press conference.
But listen, from the glamour of Europe to the more blood and thunder of the Championship playoffs, we're underway. I just keep thinking that it's a hard shift for these teams that are coming up, trying to come up, isn't it? Is it unfair?
No, it is. And remember at the time, it took so long to get playoffs introduced, because they just wanted to
close shop.
You don't want to close shop, nobody's wanting to give the place up. And then eventually, when they finally said we're going to introduce playoffs, then you saw the format. I mean, it was pretty clear that the top flight clubs had only agreed because they knew that whoever ended up getting to the final would be absolutely
It's like the assault course at the end of the Gladiators, isn't it? You got to climb this wall, jump that, go up the travelator, and then beat the final baddie at the end. It's a torturous route. If you're finishing 4th,
that's a good analogy.
You've no chance, have you?
I know. No,
I mean,
it's definitely weighted in favour of the Premiership team, but we know that. I think, but it's particularly unfair on the sides that finished 3rd and 4th. There's an argument that the extra 2 games are your penance for finishing 3rd or 4th rather than 2nd, but you're asking teams to play, 4 games in 2 weeks? Before they even get to the final.
At the end of a long hard season.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Then they've got to play a Premiership team who are comparatively well rested.
Yeah, and in some seasons they've had 2 or 3 weeks to kind of get their head around the fact that they're going to win a playoff. I think we've seen it before. Was it Camargue? They had a few weeks. They knew they were going to be in there, and they could prepare for it.
No, I think the proposed changes to reduce it to 1 leg up until the final would probably balance it out.
Yeah, I just think I'd like to see the four teams in the playoff have a kind of semi-final and final all together. So the second bottom plays 4th, second plays 3rd. One off semi-final at a venue, a neutral venue, another one off semi-final in the one off final, and make it a playoff kind of. We can do it for a week. Do you know what I mean? Because this playoff affects contracts and all that stuff, and it's an awkward situation for clubs who don't know where they're going to be and how many games they're going to need to play. I would like to see a proper semi-finals and final. Make it over. You could have that over 5 days. I mean, the playoff week, and really give it a big showcase. Have a playoff final, one-off game. At Hampden if it need be, or somewhere, or Tynecastle. I think make it an occasion. I think it'd be brilliant. I think that the 2 legs is too much as well. And like you say, it's not fair on the teams that are. I know your argument in the finish fourth, they deserve a tougher route, but that's not how it works. It's a playoff. And it is too heavily weighted for the team that finishes second bottom, who usually have been rubbish all season in the Premier League. Yeah. And they're just trying to keep themselves, to protect themselves, aren't they?
Yeah. But, okay, let's switch to golf. So it's the second major of the year coming up, and I heard a little birdie told me that the Scottish football writers had their open, their major, and you competed in it, yeah?
Well, I would say compete's a strong word. I was there. I turned up on my shot.
Where did you finish? Come on.
I finished, what's you say, mid-pack, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, towards the bottom. Yeah, unfortunately, I never turned up.
No.
But,
who won it?
It was the short game let me down badly, unfortunately. It was won by one of our colleagues at a rival publication, which we'll not give a mention to.
No.
But boo. Our own Craig Swan. Was one of the front runners. He was up there challenging leaderboard. I mean, a sensational start, but unfortunately, his legs went towards the end. Right? He went through the playoff situation, lost it towards the end, but he got closest to the pin. But that was a major. That was the major of the week. But next week's the PGA.
Yeah. So who do you fancy?
But this is gearing up to be, I think, one of the most exciting majors for a long time as well. I mean, I think they're all great, but you just think there's a lot coming together at Quail Hollow next week. You get Rory McIlroy on his green jacket, winning 3 times this season, being the best player in the world. The actual number one, the ranking, Scotty Scheffler, hitting form, winning last week. He's back in form. This is not a place that he's particularly enjoyed playing at through the years, right enough. You've got Xander Schauffele, who's obviously had a wee bit injured this year. He won the PGA last year and the Open.
Well, I read that 9 of the last 10 winners have come from America.
Right.
7 of the last 10 winners have been in the top 15, so we need an American elite. No?
Well, Rory's got a house in America. He lives in America these days, so I don't think he can class him. Well, I think he's all around. But no, I think Rory's the man to beat. I mean, he's won twice at Quail Hollow before as well.
Okay.
Justin Thomas, another one who'd been a bad couple of bad 18 months, but he's shown sign of form again. He won here. He won there. He's at the PGA, I think maybe about 7, 8, 9 years ago. So I just think, and you get Bryson DeChambeau.
I was going to say second last year. I think he'd be my tip. 10-1. 10-1. That's a good price.
I mean, look, he's like record in the majors. He was second last year. Won the US Open. Went close. Obviously the Masters a few weeks ago.
Won Live Golf in Korea.
Won in Korea. He was in close a few times. Won it last week as well.
Yeah.
But he's in great form. I just think there's so many of the best players in the world who are now kind of converging. I think Ludwig Åberg, I mean, again, a great Masters, just tailed away in the back 9 on the Sunday. He's going to win at some point. This is the kind of place that I think he's going to be a threat.
Okay.
There's guys like Colin Morikawa back in form. I just think it's going to be a brilliant PGA. I just think Rory. It'd be interesting to see how Rory McIlroy plays with the handcuffs off, because then I think this pressure of the winning the major's gone.
Yeah.
He might freewheel, and a freewheeling Rory is a terrifying prospect for most. I think Rory will be the man to beat this week, and I think he will. I think he'll go and do it again. I think he'll win. And then he goes to Portrush, which is practically his own back garden for the Open.
Brilliant.
So
what a story.
Listen, it's exciting times. But listen, I don't know what you, Gav, but this studio is absolutely roasting.
Baking.
It's a wee bit too hot to be stuck in here. And it's I definitely think to pack it up and get the taps off, get this barbecue fired up. We can tune into that one on our other channel later on. But listen, thanks for listening and watching this week's episode of Game On. You can also catch us as always on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you like. You can leave us a wee review or comment if you like what you hear, or even if you don't, you can let us know what you think as well. Be nice. But we'll be back next week. We'll do it all again. Thanks again.
Thank you.